guys, it's Kanan,
It's Jesse.
and we are the Geeky Sane Couple, and this is episode 2 of our StoryTime series. If you didn't watch the first episode, please go give it a watch. We'll make sure to put the link in the description below. Our first episode was about Dragon Ball and how it affected our lives, and really how it led to the channel, because this is the Geeky Sane Couple. Today's episode is about video games. And video games also really led to this channel as well. I said in the Dragon Ball video, if it wasn't for Dragon Ball, I probably would have never gotten into other things, and video games is one of those. And my story for video games is a lot different than other people my age. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Is just, these Storytime videos just gives you guys a chance to get to know us better. And our interests and all that, and just where we came from. So Jess is going to go first, because I have a feeling my story is probably a bit longer than hers. Because I don't think you didn't really play games as much as I did.
It depends. I mean, I did. Mine stems back from my dad, so that's where a lot of mine started. Probably the first game that got me into even gaming at all would have been on the SNES, and it was actually Uniracers was my very first one that I remember. My dad had showed it to me, and I absolutely fell in love, and recently found it so I can actually play it currently on the computer.
And for people who don't know, Uniracers is really just... I guess it's kind of a racing game.
It is a racing game.
But you play as a unicycle.
You can race with another person, next to you with another controller or the computer, which the computer's pretty kind of dumb on some of those tracks. But that's what started it, and he also got me in with, Mario and Donkey Kong and all that, and then kind of led to Sega for the unbeatable games of Lion King and Aladdin, which now they come as a combo, and I want it.
Yeah,
I still want it. I don't know anyone to this day that has ever beaten these games. So, if you say you did, it's probably a lie.
I'm sure there's people who's beaten them, but I don't know any of them.
We've not seen proof of it yet, so... Yeah. But that was the start of my journey for video games, and that led up to the first PlayStation, and I think we did have an N64 as well. I don't remember that one as much, but I used to play... Pong was a big game once it hit PlayStation. Bugs Bunny game.
Crash Bandicoot.
Crash and Spyro were probably the biggest things, but in between that, the PlayStation, I'd usually play that, and then it would lead into me watching Sailor Moon, actually. I'd play that up until the time that Sailor Moon would come on, as well as Pokemon, but it kind of just evolved from there. I just kept playing those games, but then that led me to get... friends would have other systems, and I'd start playing that. My friend that used to live downstairs, he had a Sega, so I'd go down and play that, because that was different. We didn't have one of those.
Was it a Dreamcast?
I don't remember. I just remember a black Sega.
That was a Genesis then.
Yeah, that's probably what it was, and we played a whole bunch of stuff on there. But that's kind of where my journey started, but it's led up to... where we are now. I started playing... Kingdom Hearts I got introduced to. I got introduced to Kingdom Hearts 2 first. An ex in high school actually started playing it, and I started seeing I saw Tigger. It was the first thing I saw when I walked in the room, because of the point he was playing. And I was just like, wait, what is that? I like this. I sat and watched for hours, and then that led me into playing for the first time, and...
That same ex made you hate Halo.
Yes, the same ex made me hate Halo. That's all he did. I mean, come on, who brings their girlfriend over to the house only for him to play live and ignore you. So
if he ever watches this video, he's gonna contact you and be like, "What the hell?"
hey, I didn't name any names, but going and jumping on a trampoline. It's like, okay, well, why was I here? But yeah, Halo is definitely not a favorite to me. But through the years that led up, to Kingdom Hearts, and then that was actually our first conversation we ever had online 14 years ago now. It started with Kingdom Hearts, and then
we've known each other for a long time.
Yes. And then it just evolved from there. I would just play more stuff, and then he actually introduced me to Final Fantasy 13, which that evolved hugely very quickly.
Yeah, and really the only reason why I introduced it to her
You
is
just showed me the characters.
Yeah, and that led to shipping Lightning and Fang, and it just became a whole obsession at that point.
We did mention that in our shipping video too. Like,
yeah.
He showed me all these characters, and the first two I picked out was, ooh, I like her and her. That's Lightning and Fang. They're in the same game.
and plus, like, recently there was the Dragon Age games that I got you into, the Mass Effect games.
And I love them all.
She's not played them herself. She did play Dragon Age 2.
I haven't gotten to play any of the Mass Effect games myself.
She watched me play them, so she knows the whole story.
But I would like to actually play them. But when, at the time, you have one system to play on, well, it doesn't exactly work.
But then here recently, I also have a Switch, so you got to play Let's Go Eevee.
Which I absolutely love.
And Okami, the remaster of Okami.
The remaster of Okami, and I've just recently bought it for myself, so once we get a capture card, I'll probably play some stuff.
Oh, and Siberia. You love the Siberia series.
That
Professor
started,
Layton.
Yes. A lot of the mystery or puzzle-solving games like that, I started Siberia just because of another ex. He had an Xbox. At the time, that was the only game system you could really play it on. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And once they started making the new games, I literally waited forever for them to make 3. And I was so excited. I haven't gotten to play it yet, but I've seen stuff from it. It's a beautiful game.
Which, I pretty much I told her, like, because there was a big sale going on the Switch that time. I was like, they're all 3 on the Switch.
I'm just gonna get them that way. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games here and there that really pushed me through life, and I will say that video games really were a thing that I'd go to from some really dark times in my life too. And like, if I could just escape, and that's kind of why Lightning became as my first cosplay. Lightning became a very strong character to me and meant so much, and she still does. And that was the start in my cosplay that gave me the confidence that I never used to have. And a lot of video games started doing that. Like, I'd start making more friends outside, after school. Yeah, the friends that you say you're keeping in high school, you don't really keep most of them.
So if you're still in high school, that was a nice thought.
Well, it's the truth. But I have some friends, and we still connect over that. And gaming has led through cosplay, and that has evolved us to where we are now. So, and a lot of this stuff, gaming, anime, all that, it did help us make this channel. Like, it's been thought about for quite some time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we just finally now were able to create it.
Yeah. Is that all you
about
want?
it. I mean, Borderlands is another thing, because we've discovered a lot of games. There's not a lot of games we can play together. And
it's mostly Mario Kart or Borderlands.
Yeah, Borderlands, I'm not the greatest at this.
First time we played Borderlands together, I look over and she's walking like this. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Because I wasn't used to the point of view that, like, the controls took some time, and it was a little bit trippy at first. When I first played by myself, I was just like, whoa, wait. But, yeah, I'm not the greatest at it, and
you got better.
Oh, yes, I've gotten better.
She's definitely better now. Plus, that was the first one. We know all how janky the first one can be, even on the remaster that
Well,
they
what made it
released.
worse is the first time we ever played on split screen. That was interesting
Yeah,
because we were looking at the wrong screens.
didn't we play for the first time really when you still lived in Ohio?
Yeah, we actually played through the internet, which
Not here, because
no.
the internet here stinks. I was house sitting for someone, and I had taken my at that time it was PS3 because I think that this was before, yeah, because you didn't have a PS4, it was a PS3, and I had a copy of Borderlands, the Game of the Year edition, and she had it too, and that's the first time we played was in separate states, and I don't know what her screen looked at that time, but I do think I did most of the work.
Probably.
Well, my character
because
was a higher level, so we were pretty much EXP farming for her. But I mean, it's a really fun game to play together. I mean, even if that's what makes couch co-op the most fun is moments like that. Online, yeah, it can be fun, but most of the time when you play with someone online, they're super serious. If you start goofing off, they cuss at you or kick you out. Couch co-op is the most fun because you're playing for fun. I mean, yeah, like if we play Mario Kart, of course I want to beat her, and she wants to beat me, of course. But like if I hit her with a shell or something, you
it's
get
never,
mad.
yeah.
It's almost like you asshole, but nothing like that. And when we play Borderlands, me look over and see her pointing
I
toward the
don't do
sky.
it as much anymore.
It's not aggravating. It's hilarious. So that's why I always prefer couch co-op. I wish more game developers would make more couch co-op games. um, but yeah, that's the world we live in. Online is taking over everything. So I guess it's my turn. Okay, so the first game I ever remember playing, it was the late 80s, I believe, because I was born in 87. So it was like 88, 89, maybe early 90s. Um, Somehow my older brother had gotten a hold of an NES, and back in the day, those things were like they were expensive back in the day. Like,
Yeah, we never had an NES. We had an SNES, and I had one at both my mom's and dad's. But
yeah,
NES, I never saw.
because a lot of you that's been born like that are way younger than us, a VCR. If you know what a VCR is, they were like $1,000 when they first.
Hey, I have friends that that I had met later in life that when they were little for years did not know what a VCR was.
Yeah, and I don't think Blu-ray players have ever been that expensive. Maybe there's been some. Maybe there's been
the
some.
first
But
really thick Blu-ray players were really expensive, but then they were never over $1,000.
yeah,
They
VCR was over $1,000. So I don't know how my older brother got a hold of one, but my parents couldn't afford a lot of stuff back in the day. Um, so we only had two games for it that I remember: Super Mario Brothers and Top Gun. Played Top Gun a little bit, and I could never land that jet on that carrier. I never could. But Super Mario Brothers, yeah, I wasn't great because I was still like I was less than 6 years old, so of course I wasn't good at it. But I do remember playing it, trying to beat at least World 1. I don't know if I ever did at that age, but
Dad taught me how to get past levels.
um,
Finding that flute.
but once my brother moved out, he didn't take his NES. He left it, so I inherited it. But tell the truth, back then I was still like the type of kid who would go outside and play. So I probably should have stuck that way. I probably would be in a lot more better shape. But I was still like, I was mostly a go outside and play or a kid who played with his toys. Um, I would play when like my now the big thing that this is the big thing that happened um, for me to really start playing games more. A video store here in town was getting rid of their NES games because the NES was pretty much dead at this point. Um, and they had boxes of NES games that they were giving away for free. I came home with so many NES games like Techno Bowl, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Nightmare on Elm Street, just Skate or Die. I think one and two. I think was there a Skate or Die three? I don't remember. Um, but a ton of games, and I never beat a single one of them because NES games are just like if you think Dark Souls is hard, go back and play NES games. Now, the NES for the longest time was my only system. My mom and dad couldn't afford anything. I sadly missed out on the SNES. Like everyone's told me that they feel sorry for me that I missed out on it during its
Which
golden
is
age.
why now, I mean, yeah, there's the SNES
Classic.
Classic, but we have a store here in Knoxville that actually, it's like pretty much a used store that you can book CDs, gaming stuff, games
And they
themselves.
usually have SNES
Yes,
for
and
like
they're
60
not.
bucks.
Yeah, they're not expensive. So at some point, we do plan to actually get one because they do get in quite a few games too. They had Uniracers forever.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm like the NES is all I had to play for, and one of my best memories was my mom during the summertime would like, and this is pretty much where it led to me liking to stay up all night, to stay up late at least. My mom and me would play Super Mario Brothers almost all the time, and we would always stay up late.
It's kind of like me and Dad with Uniracers. That's what started my late nights too.
Yeah, like me and Mom would play. Like I think level 3 is the farthest I could get. Mom would beat it. My mom can beat Super Mario Brothers in one night. Back in the day. And from there, my mom and dad like got better jobs, got better income, and so I think the next system I got was a Sega Genesis, and I did not have a lot of games for it. Um, I had the Lion King.
I think everyone I know has had Lion King.
I had Sonic and Knuckles.
I think I just had
But
Sonic.
my favorite game that I had for that system was Primal Rage. If anyone knows what Primal Rage is, you know what I mean. But if you don't, Primal Rage is pretty much a fighting game with dinosaurs. And, dinosaurs, a serpent-looking thing, and two gorillas.
I think a friend of mine, because he absolutely loves dinosaurs. I
Yeah.
think he used to have that.
That's
on
why I
Nintendo.
had it, was because I love dinosaurs.
He named his
But,
car his Mustang Godzilla.
But,
I think he said he was like 8.
But me and my nephews like thought it was hilarious because the two gorillas they had two attacks. That one of them was throwing up, the other one was a fart, and so it was just a fun little game. After the Sega Genesis, I think that's when I got a Nintendo 64. I think that was the next system I had. Now, even though Mom and Dad were able to... No. The next one after that was the PlayStation. And that is where gaming as like a hardcore hobby came. Now, even though they were able to get me a PlayStation, Mom and Dad still couldn't afford the games all the time. Like they couldn't afford every single new top, because at that time games were $50 brand new. I think PS1 games were 50. It might have been 40. I don't know.
Some of them were pretty expensive.
Yeah, so even they couldn't even afford them back then. So
I used to have to rent them from the Blockbuster.
Well, I'm not going to name who, but back then it was very easy to burn games.
Hey, I didn't know that. I just know every weekend we'd go to Blockbuster and I'd rent a game.
But
yeah, that's ancient.
I was given 2 games for the PS1 because the only game I had was WWF. Yes, I know it's now WWE, but it was WWF Warzone. So that's all I had was and a demo disc that came with the system. But hey, I used to be a huge wrestling fan. This was during the Attitude Era, so I wanted that game because I wanted to play as Stone Cold Steve Austin and all that. Now I was given 2 games, and this is where things really changed for me. Because before these 2 games, all the games I had mostly played were platformers or racing games, sports games.
That was the big thing that everyone had their hands on.
Well, they were the cheapest most of the time, but those games, they just don't draw you in. You play for a few hours, you get bored, you move on to something else.
You get pissed off and quit.
Well, the two games that I was given was Mega Man Legends and a little RPG called Legend of Legaia. So, Mega Man Legends was the first Mega Man game I ever got to play. Yeah, I didn't get to play the original series. I didn't get to play X because, like I said, I missed out on the SNES. I have played the X series though. I love that series. But Mega Man Legends was very different from other Mega Mans because it was a um, kind of an action adventure RPG like series. It wasn't platforming like the others. And I don't know, I just really fell in love with the game. That was one of the hardest games I had to learn how to beat. If I played it now, I'd probably get killed all the time. But I got to the point to where I could beat that game very easily. But first time I played it, very difficult. But Legend of Legaia was the first Japanese RPG I ever played. Amazing game. Like, that's where I learned about, oh, there's these games that are like story driven, and you can name the character whatever you want, and it has this like really big world. You can go to each place to save and all that, and I learned what level grinding was and all that. Grinding for levels to get stronger, and it was different in that, unlike other RPGs, the combat system was like you'd put in a command, it'd be high, low, left, right, and it kind of mixed an RPG with a fighting game in a way. And whatever you did, the character would do that, and if you've done certain combinations, they want to unlock an art, which is kind of a super move. So yeah, that was the first game where I spent hours in. Uh, Grinding levels, and just getting embraced into the story and all that.
For me, though, like, I've had some people tell me, "Oh, well, you're not a true gamer, though. You took so long." No, I didn't have anybody to show me how to do that, which is why it took me so long to. That's why I played really funny the first time I played Borderlands, is because I didn't understand. Like, I didn't have those people. My dad had moved away a little, earlier in my life, and I'm sure he would have showed me, but. So yeah, it's been self-taught, or if I got stuck somewhere, I'd call him. Be like, "Hey, help!
But
what do I do?"
the PS1 generation was kind of funny because it was really the beginning of all 3D graphics and all that. And as I said, my mom played games with me for the longest time, and like I said, the PS1 came with a demo disc, and it had all these demos of games. And one game that she really enjoyed was the first Cool Borders. And all the demo was you going down one mountain. There was only one mountain you could play down. So we would constantly play to see what all we could do and all that. Well, there was a demo for another particular game on there. Spyro the Dragon.
That.
My mom played that, and she got so motion sick that she had to go to bed.
And that pretty much ended
That was it. She never played a video game with me again. And like I could send her a picture of Spyro, and she'll say, "Oh God, I'm getting sick just looking at him."
She said something about that stupid purple dragon or something like that.
Yeah, every time she tells a story, she's like, "That damn purple dragon."
I will say I remember the first time I played that, and that was just the way like the graphics were and everything.
The remake is way much.
Oh
it doesn't like you sick.
But the first time I ever played that, I was just like, whoa. I had to look for a second.
But yeah, playing Legend of Legaia, it led to me playing Chrono Cross, Legend of Dragoon, Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. Just all these RPGs, because I'll never forget the night that we went. This was all the way back in the day when Walmart still carried PlayStation 1 games.
God, I can't even remember that.
It's
been so long.
Oh, I do. I remember it fondly. And Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 were all on sale for $20 a piece. My dad bought me all three. Now, I'm going to get some flack for this, but to this day, I hate Final Fantasy 7. I just couldn't get into the story it was telling. I didn't care about any of the characters. 8 is alright, but I hate the junction system. 9 I absolutely fell in love with. Like, I have Final Fantasy 9 on my PlayStation 4. I love Final Fantasy 9. But then I was able to go back and play, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I adore 6. If 6 is not the next Final Fantasy to get a remake, I will be upset. I am going to play Final Fantasy 7 Remake, though, because I do think it's more than likely going to be a way more better presented product. But, yeah,
And the
just.
way the characters look, they look
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm
I'm not
already
too happy that it's going to be $60 games into several parts, but I am going to try it out because they did change things as far as the story goes and all that. The characters are going to be voiced, and I mean, let's face it, Final Fantasy 7 has not aged well. It looks awful now, but back then I can't understand why people thought it was so groundbreaking because at that point in time, other RPGs they kind of still looked like they did on the SNES. So that was the first real RPG to have like the full 3D and the cinematics and all that. So yes, I do understand why people have such a nostalgia for it, but I guess it's around the time I played it, it had been out for a while, and so I had already played other games. And like, come on, 9 was already out by the time I played 7. So maybe that's why now I don't really like the hardcore fanboys that like shit on every other Final Fantasy and think 7 is the be all end all. I do think 7 is overrated, but
we do have reasons behind though some of the fans is
yeah, we can get into
we
that in another video.
yeah, they're not the nicest people. At least we have friends that love 7 and love other ones as well as 13, but yeah, there's a huge different territory there.
I will admit though, Final Fantasy 15 was kind of garbage uh, as a Final Fantasy, um, but like like I said, it's probably just that I experienced the game at a way different time than anyone else did who loves that game. So I mean, hopefully 7 is as a remake is way better than the first one. I just did not have a good. And hey, if don't hate because I have beaten it. I completed the whole game. Um, I don't know. I just 7's just never been a favorite to me. But anyway, um, during the PlayStation 1 era, my parents decided to get me a Nintendo 64 because they had been discounted. Like, this was very close to the end of the 64's life cycle. I didn't have many games for it just because I was more into the PlayStation. So, yeah, I never got to play Ocarina of Time on the 64. I would actually play it later on the GameCube. But so yeah, I missed out on the 64 a lot. The only game that I really played a lot of during that time was Mario Kart 64. I played a lot of Mario Kart 64.
We had Mario Kart and we had one other game. I don't remember what it was though, because I didn't get to play it as much.
Well, I had a couple of games. Oh, I had Pokemon Snap as well. I had Pokemon Snap, and after that, like the other games I had were just given to me. Okay, so next generation, the PlayStation 2, which to me is still the most best recent generation ever as far as what was coming out. Oh, one more story about the PS1 era before I'm getting ahead of myself. Another game, a couple of more games that I played during the PlayStation 1 era that I put a lot of hours into. The other one was Harvest Moon Back to Nature. That's the game that introduced me to the Harvest Moon series and that kind of game.
I think that's the one that I had.
Endless hours. A funny story about Harvest Moon Back to Nature. My brother had come over one morning right before I was heading to school, and this was like I was like in 6th or 7th grade at this point, and he was like, "Well, what's this little game?" Because you gotta understand, my brother is a bit older than me. You know, he had kids and everything by this time, and I told him it was like it's a little farming game, blah blah and all that, and he started playing it when I was leaving for school at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I come home after 3 p.m. He is still there playing that game. And after like when A Wonderful Life came on the GameCube, he called me, "Hey, I got that new Harvest Moon game. How do I feed my cows?" And I didn't even have it yet. And another game that I got a hold of that I probably played more times than any other game ever. Like I'd beat it, play it again, beat it, play it again. Was the first Dino Crisis. I loved Dino Crisis. Capcom, please remake that game. But Dino Crisis was probably my first survival horror game. I didn't get to play Silent Hill the first time around, and I didn't get to play the first Resident Evil um, um, the first time around. That would actually come later. So, next generation PlayStation 2. Um, the biggest moments of the PlayStation 2. Now, the PlayStation 2 had a humongous library. I used to have a ton of PlayStation 2 games. And a few series that stand out for me on PlayStation 2. The biggest one is Kingdom Hearts. I remember, pretty much, I was a freshman in high school. This was back in, 2002. Um, and I saw a commercial. I was watching like Toonami or something like that, and a commercial came on. And it was pretty much a kid with a key for a weapon, and the kid looked like, I didn't know his name at that time or anything. It was the first commercial I ever saw of Kingdom Hearts. And he looked like he belonged in a Final Fantasy game, and he's running around all these other Disney worlds with Donald Duck and Goofy. And I'm like, what is this?
That was my exact.
Because when I was a kid, I was a huge Disney fan. And as a teenager, I was a huge Final Fantasy and RPG fan. So this Disney and Final Fantasy together, like, what the heck, And so I did chores for like a week, made the money, went to Walmart, bought it, and I've bought every Kingdom Hearts game ever since then. Kingdom Hearts is one of the only video game series, and she can attest to this, that has made me cry. Like, you can ask her when 1.5 Remix first came out, and I put it in the PlayStation 3, and I heard seeing the menu for Final Mix, because I had for years wanted to play Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, and finally seeing that on my television, hearing Dearly Beloved again, like from the first game, it was almost like playing it for the first time again. I cried. Hearing Dearly Beloved for Kingdom Hearts 3, I cried.
Yeah, we both did. And this has also led to one of the versions we're actually going to use as our wedding song. So,
but also, like, the game, like, the Lee, Roxas, and Shion reunion, I bawled. Like, I cry every time I watch that scene. Like, it is... When you play this many games and go this long in a series and you connect to these characters, you feel their pain, you feel their happiness and all that. And Kingdom Hearts is the one series that just guts me.
When we finally had that announcement for 3, I think I was at work that day or was at school. I don't remember. But as soon as he heard it before I did,
my power was out.
Called me, and I had to go. Like, as soon as he told me that, I stopped absolutely everything I was doing just to look it up and see. And it was forever. Like, it meant so much. And then finally and I went with him, he got to cosplay at work, before I worked there, as Sora the night that released, which everybody loved. I walked around as Kairi just to be there.
The announcement of Kingdom Hearts 3 was funny, because our house was out of power. A storm had rolled through. But a friend of mine, whose power was now, messaged me and said, hey, Kingdom Hearts 3 just got announced. What? No. But that's a topic for a whole other video. Yeah, I'm getting sidetracked big time. Another big thing on the PlayStation 2 was, of course, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, but for the longest time, the only Dragon Ball game available in America for the longest time was Dragon Ball GT Final Bout, and they only made 1,000 copies of that for America, and so that game was very hard to find. If you could find it, it was like over $100, and at that time I didn't have $100. I was in middle school. But the first Dragon Ball Z Budokai game came out, and I wanted that game so bad. And my parents got it for me for Christmas that year. And Mom and Dad used to always let me open one present on Christmas Eve, and they made sure that was the one I played. I was up that entire night playing the story mode, unlocking all the characters, doing everything I could in that game. Like I stayed up. That was the first Christmas I stayed up all night and didn't get any sleep. Um, Other great games came out for the PlayStation 2. The Jack and Daxter series. Oh, what else was it? My favorite Silent Hill 3. Persona 4. Oh my gosh.
He introduced me to that one too, and
If you, like, I know everyone loves Persona 5, but if you have never played Persona 4, go back and play that. That is an amazing video game.
I did. There is one game that I do remember that, going back to the older stuff, it was called Rocky Rodent.
I remember hearing about
God,
that.
I absolutely loved that game. But there was another game that really got me into more
Dark Cloud. I love Dark Cloud.
for the PlayStation 2. It was a Tomb Raider game, and I don't remember which one, but I do know
There
the
was a
graphics.
bunch of them.
There was a bunch, but I really wish I could remember.
And not just Persona 4. The whole entire Shin Megami Tensei line of games on PlayStation 2 is amazing. And then there was like other like little RPGs that not many people know about. Grandia 2. That was another game I played called Dual Hearts. That game was amazing. Then of course you had games like Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 12.
The Tomb Raider one, it had better graphics. I don't remember
There was a bunch on PlayStation 2. So
but that was one that really got me into games like that. So, and I wish I could remember because I really loved that game.
And see what other. Okay, so I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I love Resident Evil, but as I said, back during the PlayStation 1 era, my parents couldn't afford every game that came out. So I missed out on a lot of games. Like, I really did. Because it was always that point to where if I went into, say, a game store or into Walmart, 9 times out of 10, it would be the whole, don't make me wait out in the car forever. Get in, get what you want, come back. I never got to really look around. So usually if I did go into, like, say a GameStop or something, I'd go in, find what I wanted, pay for it with the money that my parents gave me, leave. Because I was a kid, I didn't have a job. I didn't, I was a lazy kid too. I didn't do chores for money or anything like that. So I hate to admit it, but I missed out on Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation 1. But then something miraculous happened, and Resident Evil 4 got ported to the PlayStation 2. Because originally it was a GameCube exclusive, and it wasn't going to be ported, but it did. So I played 4, loved it, went back, and on the GameCube there was Resident Evil 0. The Resident Evil remake on GameCube is still the best remake ever made. I still think it might be possibly better than Resident Evil 2 remake. But yeah, the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox era was amazing. You had all the great games on PlayStation 2. You had the GameCube, which had The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess, Tales of Symphonia, one of the best RPGs out there. Then you had the original Xbox with games like Fable. And yeah, at that point, I had all three systems. I had a PlayStation 2, I had a GameCube, and I had an Xbox. The next generation, what a troublesome generation this was. Yeah, PlayStation 3 gets announced. Oh, you want the system that can play PlayStation 2 games? $600. So
I didn't get mine until it was hand-me-down years later.
Well,
we had a Wii.
Well, only way I was able to get a PS3 is when they released the one that only played PlayStation 1 games. It was way cheaper. So I got that. And less than a year of having it, the disc reader in it burns out. So, yeah. And I didn't fill out the warranty or anything for it, so I just had a dead system. So, this is the one time where the Sony guy became a Microsoft guy. 360 was way cheaper. It had relatively the same games I played on the PlayStation 3, so I got an Xbox 360. Now, the reason why I'm not a Microsoft guy is I don't like the way Microsoft does things. I also think they're kind of lazy in that they don't have really true exclusives because you can play them on the PC. I just don't think they churn out the games like they
Which
should.
I didn't know Siberia at that point in time. I could play it on the computer. I didn't know, which I
Now,
actually have it.
there
Won't
is
play.
there is one Xbox series she does like,
Yes.
and that's Forza.
I absolutely love Forza, and I was once, since I was always a PlayStation person to begin with, once I realized, oh, you need an Xbox to play that. This isn't fair.
Now,
Like,
I will say, having the 360 did allow me to play some games I'm thankful I was able to play. Fable 2. I will say this: if they ever make another Fable, I will buy an Xbox. I love Fable. Fable 3 was crap though. Hopefully, it's way better than that. Um, the 360 is also where I was able to play the first Mass Effect because Mass Effect originally was only on the Xbox, and yeah, I mean, we all know how great the Mass Effect series was. The Witcher 2, I got to play on the 360. I think Dead Space, I got to play first on the 360. Um, but I started having problems with my Xbox, and I was able to get my PS3 fixed. So I had both for a while, but I started buying more games for the PS3 because when I finally got it fixed, a lot more games had come out for the PS3, and a lot of them were exclusive. So I did start playing the uh, PlayStation 3 more. I had a Wii, but I only bought it for Super Smash Brothers. Um, yeah, I did not enjoy the Wii. I really thought the Wii was a crap system.
for me, I mean, we had a Wii, but it was more because we had fun with it. Like, my friends come over for whatever reason, and we just have fun with it. Like watching one of my friends try to hula hoop. He could go one way but not the other. Like, we liked the stuff like that. But other than that, as far as like other regular games go, my sister played the Mario Galaxy game over and over, but the only games I played were, the sports game or the one with the balance board. That was the only reason I liked having it, but I played my PlayStations a lot more than I ever touched the Wii
And then
and my DS.
yeah, and of course, yeah, I had like almost every model of DS there was. I didn't have the original. I had the DS Lite.
I had a DS Lite, and then once I lost that, you sent me a DSi.
Yeah, I sent her my DSi. I had a 3DS. I had a 3DS XL. I had a PSP. Then I had a Vita. But then the new generation started creeping in. The only one I never owned besides an Xbox was the Wii U. Now
I didn't either.
the reason why I didn't get a Wii U is because it I just couldn't afford it at the time. I was in college, so I really couldn't afford it. Plus, I mean, the Wii U suffered from a lot. It didn't have a lot of games at launch, and it never really had a large gaming library. And the one thing that people constantly complain about Nintendo is their games keep their value way too long. And since the Wii U didn't have a lot of third-party support, it was all Nintendo-based games, and they all stayed like $60 all the
There's
time.
still some
The
at
Switch
work that
still has that problem.
there's some Wii U games still at work that are still pretty pricey for as old as they are, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like I looking at the price, I'm just thinking, whoa,
Yeah.
I don't think you'd want this one, but okay.
Okay, and so when the newer systems came out, I already knew I wasn't getting an Xbox One because of what Microsoft tried to do, which is make it always online. And we live in an area that high-speed internet's just it's still struggling. Though we have learned that may be changing soon. More on that in another video. But
You'll get a video once we find out it actually is happening.
yeah. Um, but the whole it has to be constantly online. It won't play used games. I know they changed it, but the fact that they were going to do that and thought it was a great idea, I was like, I'm done with Microsoft at that point. Um, PS4 came out. PS4 is sold out everywhere. I could not find one for forever. Then Amazon finally got them back in stock, and that's the first and only system I've ever ordered offline. Um, PlayStation 4 has been a really great generation. It's had a lot of good new series like Bloodborne, Horizon Zero Dawn. Um,
Beautiful game.
yeah.
Beautiful game.
And great remasters and even great remakes like Resident Evil. Um, I've been really happy with this generation. I am really excited for the new generation coming up. My wallet's not excited, but and then you have the powerhouse that is the Nintendo Switch. This is the first um, Nintendo system I have enjoyed since the GameCube. Because I didn't really like the Wii, never had a Wii U, and this thing has had so many great games. I mean, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. How can you not think that's one of last decade's greatest games? Um, Even great games here recently like Astral Chain and Fire Emblem Three Houses. My gosh, I've got almost 400 hours into that game.
I've not played it, but I have watched him play most of it, and it was a great game.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, people have shit on it, but I enjoyed Pokemon Sword and Shield, the first Pokemon game on a console, like main series Pokemon game, not like other games they've done. Um, and we've got like Animal Crossing coming out later this year, and it's just pretty much video games have been a huge part of my life since about I was ever since I got the PlayStation 1. I can't remember exactly the year or how old I was, but
I was probably 6, 7 years old for me.
so why is it so important to me? It's mostly because it helps me relax. Um, like you can ask her the first thing I want to do after saying hi to her and all that, and us talking a little bit. The first thing I want to do after getting home from work is put a game in and relax. That's how.
Unless AEW is coming on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because then we'll sit here and then there's that.
Yeah, on Wednesday nights I'm watching AEW. But you know how some men come home and they pop open a beer and they sit down and they want to watch the news, or get home, pop open a Mountain Dew, play a game. Um, but also, in 2015, I lost my dad to cancer. And two things kept me going: her and video games.
If he wasn't talking to me, he was playing.
Yeah, I was constantly just...
Usually I was the last thing on the phone before he fell asleep, because it's
Yeah,
all I could do at the time, being so far away.
And you were here 2 weeks later.
I did whatever I could to get down here, and it's sad because before he passed, I had actually planned a trip that we ended up having to cancel because of something that happened up there for me, and it killed me, to not. So I was like, you know what? I took the advantage of the little weekend I had off, and I drove all the way down.
Yep.
And then I came back 2 weeks later?
Like
a week later?
But, so yeah, they really helped me through that. Also, I can tell that video games have helped me with, being a better problem solver. I think outside the box way more. My reflexes are faster than some.
And it's actually really proven.
My fingers feel a little bit more flexible than other people's does. And I don't know, it's I think it's also because I've always had a huge imagination. I still do, even at 32 years old, and that's what I like. I love going into these other worlds, and you can even ask her, when I'm playing, I kind of get into the character almost, and that's why I think you guys are really going to enjoy my Let's Play series, because I'll mostly be the character I'm playing as most of the time, like thinking for them, or even, just getting really into it, and then, uh, that'll probably lead me to getting scared way more easier. But,
And when you can get into a game like that, it does mean, and that also that that's another thing that let us in with cosplay and stuff too, because especially when you pick characters that mean so much to you,
mhm.
you naturally fall into that. But it creates more. I mean,
Yeah, because, really, at the end of the day, the things that got this channel going and has got, like, all this and all that,
plus my half, we've got more over here. Yeah, it's
more right there.
more over here. There's
And going to, to get this, getting into cosplay, going to conventions, has been the 2 episodes we've done now. Dragon Ball for me. Another episode coming up soon will be Sailor Moon for her. And video games. Sorry, I've still got this cough from this ever changing weather.
I forgot another big game that it's not like mine. This cross between system and arcade, which was DDR, which yeah, I'm sure people will laugh at that, but the
I kind of did.
the what laughed or
Yeah,
got it,
I chuckled.
but the coordination it takes, it actually strengthens your eyes, like watching, like to
You just
connect
reminded
things.
me of something.
And I pushed myself and was able to do that because you have to focus so much, and that helped. I mean, because in school I always had that issue. I mean, I was always in the classes where I needed the smaller classes to focus, and that game helped me focus on things a bit faster, which actually has helped with my details with sewing. It's helped with a lot of that stuff. So video games with a lot of senses, depending on whether it's a dance game, you know, any RPG game or anything, mystery games, puzzles. It strengthens, and it's actually proven that way. It does strengthen your mind,
Especially Legend of Zelda games.
your eyes, your everything. Like it just sharpens your mind, I guess you'd say.
I'm glad you said that because that reminded me of a little story real quick I want to tell. Um, my sophomore year in high school, um, I had to have eye surgery. Short story, my dumb ass had a cold sore. I had wiped it. Then at some other time, wiped my eye, and the infection got into my eye and ate a hole through my cornea. If you don't know, a cornea is pretty much our natural contact lens. It's the lens that goes over your pupil. So I had to go get that checked out, and I was in surgery the very next day, and they took it off, put another one on. It was outpatient surgery. I was out of there. Had an eye patch on my eye, and a little bit of time went by. Eye patch came off. I had to wear those big old glasses to protect my eye from the sunlight. Once those came off, and I could, see just like this, we were at the doctor's, and I was out of school for like a month, so this was like vacation for me. Um, he was telling me all this stuff not to do, don't look directly at the sun, don't look directly into a light, and just stare at it. And my mom kind of smugly said, I'd say no video games too, right? And he goes, actually, that could help strengthen it. So play all the video games you want to. So
Telling that to a kid who plays video games all the time is
yeah, I was like, oh, I'm out of school and I can play video games. So yeah, so that's one example of video games actually having a health benefit. Um,
Now, if you played like 24/7 for months straight
Oh, yeah.
and didn't move,
Yeah.
there's a limit there.
yeah,
Like we play for hours on end, but we also get up and go do other things. So it's not like, I mean, come on, we've got a husky who's very active. So yeah,
and we're going to a convention in 6
yes,
days.
so we're not just
But yeah, so if anyone's wondering, like, what are my favorite kinds of games, it's very simple. RPGs, don't care if they're Western or Japanese. Survival horror, And I really like the life simulation games. Not Sims. I never got into Sims.
I
That's
did.
more her.
I still play.
But games like Harvest Moon, Rune Factory,
Oh,
Stardew Valley.
absolutely love Rune Factory.
I'm playing a game right now called My Time at Portia, and it's pretty much if you took Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, and Rune Factory, mixed them together with like a little hint of Minecraft, and you've got this game. Not made by a AAA developer. There's definitely a little bit of glitches in it, but it's a really fun game. Um, so yeah, RPGs, horror, and life simulation slash RPG like games.
Mine's kind of similar without the horror game.
Plus, I love Dark Souls. And when I say RPGs, that even includes games like Fallout and Borderlands. I love them. Yeah, Fallout and Borderlands kind of count as shooters, but they're still RPGs because, it does have a level up system and, stuff like that.
There is some games that, going through life, and I'd looked for them for years, and sadly, they were never brought to the United States unless they were imported. And there's Sailor Moon games that I wish I could have had. Bring them here. I don't care how old they are. Somebody bring them here, or tell me where I can find them that they're not going to cost me an arm and a leg. Because unlike Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon really didn't get any games. And
there's still a lot that haven't been. There's still a lot of Dragon Ball games that's
there's some that
here.
were here. There's one for the SNES, and I wanted it so bad. I don't care how bad the graphics are. I will find it. I don't care if it's still in Japanese. He actually did find a couple of them listed when we had our SNES Classic.
And if anyone's been paying attention to the back of us here, as you can see, the PS4 collection has grown a little bit because, little fun story. The reason why I don't have a huge PS4 collection is because a few months ago, it's a really funny, quick little story. There was nothing coming out for the PlayStation 4 that I wanted to play, like, for months. Like, there was going to be 4 or 5 months go by before anything good came out on the PlayStation. And I didn't have, I had money, but I didn't want to spend all money on a $60 game that I was probably going to play for a little bit and be done with. But there was games coming out for the Nintendo Switch that I really wanted, one of them being Fire Emblem, and so I made the decision to trade in my PS4 and all my games. She wasn't happy with the decision, but I was like, I'll buy another one at some point.
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So I traded in all my games. I was able to get a Switch at zero cost because I had trade credit and all that.
Didn't you get me Eevee too?
I think so, yeah. I bought like Eevee and I think Breath of the Wild. And so I had a Switch. I had just a Switch for a while. And well, a couple months later, I had some money. So I rebought a PS4 because there was games now out on it that I wanted to play. And so I've been steadily rebuilding it, and thanks to work having a buy two get two free sale here recently, we came home with like 18 games.
Yeah, we took advantage of that because they gave me the opportunity to buy Okami. And
probably shouldn't have, but I couldn't pass up not taking advantage of a sale like that because we'll probably never have a sale like that again. But yeah, I bought a ton. But yeah, video games have really changed my life in a way. When I first really started watching YouTube content, it was mostly Let's Plays that I was the most interested in watching, and other videos being like video game theories and all that. Now I'll watch, random stuff like, I used to be a really huge Markiplier fan, and like I'll still watch him, but I've really gotten to where I prefer Dashi now because Dashi is just hilarious.
Don't get me wrong, we still love Mark. We still watch.
Yeah, we do.
We're subscribed to him too, so.
But I also love I love LA Beast.
I spend a lot of my time I spend watching Kamui cosplays videos.
And of course we watch other Ruby YouTubers like
Yes.
Klaxon, Unicorn of War, Xiaolong and Cinny, um, that Kaito Dan, and others. I watch a lot of Gordon Ramsay videos. I love Gordon Ramsay. Um, and
We
I,
watched every day when we'd, dinner, we'd pull up another episode.
yeah,
So.
because it's better to watch that show. Like, I love the original UK version of Kitchen Nightmares. It's always good to watch those when you're eating, because if you're not, you get hungry. Um, and of course, like, I love watching scary videos. We should do some reactions to some like top 15s or something. But yes, the biggest reason why I even had a YouTube account was to watch like game theory videos, and like even here recently I've been watching hour-long videos of people placing together the Resident Evil storyline all together using all the games. It's really a fascinating watch. But yeah, this was our little story time to give you a little bit more info on us, especially as far as my like she's the love of my life. I'll never deny that, but my like my mistress is video games, where her mistress is cosplaying. Um, but yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I have to say. Looking forward to the next generation. When I get my tax returns, I'm already going to be putting some money down back for the PlayStation 5, and I'm probably going to get Godfall. That's the first launch title that we know of. It's pretty much third-person Borderlands with swords. It's made by Gearbox too, um, so yeah. Um, since this is a video game centric video, and if you've watched till this long, please remember Let's Plays are coming to the channel. She's still making the trailer, but
It's
remember,
taking a little longer.
because we're in
Cons in 6 days.
yeah,
So.
yeah, we're having a con
Crunch
so
right now.
I was really hoping to have had the first episode up by now, but it's looking like it's not gonna happen until after we get back.
I just now put the software on his laptop, so he's just got to work with that. But other than that, after the con, we've really got nothing going on.
That'll get in the way anyway.
Yeah.
Besides work, but also, if you're new to the channel, we are in the middle of doing a giveaway. We're not going to announce the deadline until next week, so go watch the giveaway video and learn all you can about it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this around, leave us a comment.
Consider supporting us on Patreon,
Yep,
because
we've got three
three.
now.
We need 2 more for the first Patreon giveaway, and 7 more for the bigger Patreon giveaway. And
Yeah.
we appreciate all the support. It really, all the support we get goes towards more things. So.
Yep. Oh yeah, and this is our first video of 2020. We do have another video that's on Patreon right now that we will release next week.
That were recorded on New Year's Eve, actually.
Yeah, it actually turned to New Year while we were recording. It's kind of funny. But more videos are coming.
Oh.
yeah, I was like, oh, it's midnight. So yeah, more videos are coming. We do have a few ideas planned. There are some that won't hit until after this season of Ruby is over with. And if you're wondering about next week's reaction, since we are going to be at a con, we're staying at a friend's house. We are taking everything, though. We will make some kind of setup while we're there, so we can. But we'll be in cosplay.
And we probably, after the episode, the discussion after probably won't be as long, because after the episode, we'll probably quickly recap, but then we gotta go, because I have a judging time for a specific time.
The analysis for next week's episode will be a little bit late, because we won't do it until we get home.
But we will have all weekend to talk about it, so.
We also have a wedding that week.
Yes, we have a wedding to go to once we're back, but yeah, after the episode, we pretty much have to, depending on the weather, too. My judging time's in the middle of the day, short couple hours after, so, wish me luck on that.
Also, convention videos will be coming soon. We'll probably be vlogging a bit, and while we're at it, we're just going to combine it into a video.
A
like,
video or two, depending on
how long it is. Yeah, we'll do like, we'll say, Thursday, Friday. Like, we might do something Friday during badge pickup on Thursday.
Thursday. You mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Thursday.
I thought you said Friday.
No, I said Thursday. But like during the video, we'll put Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All that. Just like any other cosplaying convention videos do. So yeah, that's two huge things that are coming up very soon: is convention vlogs and Let's Plays. Let's Plays, I'm really hoping can get underway once we get back. Plus the same Ruby content, plus random ideas we have going forward. Because we do have a third story time plan, which will be Sailor Moon, and once the Ruby season is over with, we will have more random Ruby. We have 2 Bumblebee videos planned. Plus, we'll do random theories throughout the hiatus, especially as more info is dropped about Ruby.
And we will also be planning some even non-Ruby things as well.
Yeah. But, yeah. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to support us on Patreon. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. All of the links are in the description for our Twitter, Facebook, Etsy store, Square store, all that. And, hope you guys enjoyed Storytime Episode 2, and we will see you in the next video.